Hey folks, it's Brian. We just got done with our RQG game this weekend, and interesting. This will be a short video. the uh, the party was in the temple or the library, and two things going on. Miriam found a chair that had power in it, and Irvana cast Sacred Space and did Divination times two. Divination times two. First question was, is there something here in the library that can help us with what we're trying to accomplish? And she gets this vision, of the above ground ruins of the temple, right? And then it goes into the temple and through the earth, and then opens up into this cavern with the red light from the lava stuff, and it turns towards the city, and the little spot where the library is black. She has no idea what's in there. Okay, second one was oh, the joking version was where's the special axe to kill the bad guy with? Essentially asking, where can we get a weapon to defeat this guy? And the answer they got uh, was a clip I stole from Conan the Barbarian movie, where the evil priest guy towards the end is talking to Conan about the riddle of steel. He says that steel is not strong, the flesh is strong. Um, and so getting across the point that, there's another way, right? That's Ronaldo's thing, right? Orlantha's violence is always an option, and Ronaldo's thing is there's always another way. So she's essentially telling them, find a way. There's a way to do this. You don't have to kill him, kind of thing, right? So they decide that they want to take the chair with them. It's not bolted down. It's big and heavy, but it's portable. But there's also a whole series of questions. Normally I'd say it's in live play, but there is no live play because unfortunately my laptop had a physical accident last week. I broke one of the hinges, so it's in the shop to see if they can't fix it. I don't think they're going to be able to do anything with it, in which case I'll just leave it open all the time because the electronics is still working. It's just the physical hinge itself. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. So I'm using my old 2007 laptop. It's still kicking, but it does not have a lot of processing power, so I had to keep everything to an absolute minimum. So we spent most of the evening just doing Q&A with this chair. Now, the chair is, a spirit of knowledge kind of thing. It's a library card catalog kind of deal, right? You sit down in the chair, ask questions about, where can I find a document on this, that, and the other, and, if it knows, it lets you know. If it doesn't, it tries to find it. Unfortunately, with the stats I rolled for the chair, it wasn't that great. It was like 43% chance of knowing the answer and like a 17% chance of finding it. And I stole the entire mechanics for this thing from Stormbringer and Demons of Knowledge. So that's the mechanics I was using to simulate this whole thing. And so Jarstakos took the challenge to go and sit in the chair because he's not afraid of dragons because Orlanth is the dragon slayer. So he sits down and they start asking questions. So he's rolling dice left and right, left and right, left and right. And I think they only got 2 or 3 true answers. But they did get at least one other answer that was true that it was able to find. It just didn't know, right? And since they're not bound to the chair, or the chair's not bound to them, and could you bind yourself to the chair? Absolutely, you could. It would be just like attuning yourself to a crystal kind of thing, right? And you can tune yourself to the chair, in which case you control it a little better. But since it's not under your control, if it doesn't know the answer and it can't find it, it's going to lie to you, and it's going to lie to you in a way that's going to be most detrimental to the party, or to the person, right? In this case, the whole party, really. And so most of the session, they're asking all kinds of questions about what is this Master of the Baboon's name? Where is he? How can we defeat him? And all kinds of these esoteric kind of questions. And so I'm racking my brain on, okay, true answer, I can give you an answer. Is it going to lie to you? How can I lie best to make it sound, plausible, right? But still lead them down a path that's going to cause them the most issues. There were a couple things like they asked about bypassing the spirit that was guarding the road. I said, just ignore it. It won't bother you. Just walk on by. And of course, that's not true, because as soon as they started walking by, it manifests, and it actually physically manifests, because it is a fetch with the manifest fetch thing, so it shows up as a giant gorilla. And first was going to throw sleep spells, because they tried to ignore it. They just started walking around it. And so it started throwing sleep spells at the rear of the party. Of course, we only got one off, but it worked. That player went to sleep. But then, the party stops, and they'll turn and everything, and then somebody tries to wake up the sleeping guy, and the baboon's just trying to stop, or the gorilla's trying to stop him, right? But at this point, hey, you're messing with stuff, so it attacks, and they all attack on it. And they hit it a few times, doing some damage to it. And it went down on one leg at one point. It's a size 26. And so I interpret that as being a 3-hex creature, right? So it's like being mounted. You're not going to be able to hit above a 10 location. So they attacked in the legs, got in the abdomen once, in the chest once. They knocked it down a number of hit points. But after it took its leg down, its left leg was down all the way, its hit points were about half. So it goes, okay, I'm leaving. We'll go see Dad and see what we need to do next. So they get a free round of attacks while it dematerializes, right? And they did a couple more points of damage to it, but not enough to do anything serious, and it's gone. Another thing it asked about how to defeat... what's the Master of the Baboon's name? Caesar. Which is actually a name I was contemplating initially for the creature when I was rolling him up and designing him and stuff like that. And if anybody's ever watched the Planet of the Apes, you'll know what I mean by Caesar. But that's not his actual name. His actual name is something else. So they keep using the reference to Caesar. So that's what we're calling him, Caesar. So they asked about how can we defeat him, and it came up with a lie. Okay, so something something not esoteric, something unusual, but not really going to do anything, right? So if you weave green reeds through his hair, that's how you're going to defeat him. Well, how's that defeat him? Well, it's not a totem. What's the word? Shoot. It's a feature that if it happens to him, he loses his power. And they have a bunch of questions back and forth later on that kind of conflict, but I tried to keep everything on the same storyline. Okay, well, how do we, is he going to just stand there and just do this? And go, well, if you address him and say that they're here to stop him, something. I actually give him some verbiage to use that'll put him into a stupor and he won't do anything, and so they can go ahead and weave the weeds through his hair. A whole bunch of weird stuff like that going on. Finally decided they've had enough of this running around with questions, and decided to take off. And they go down, like I mentioned, they do run into the gorilla. The gorilla attacks, some fighting. The gorilla really didn't do too much damage. It only got a couple hits in. But then, so they go on. They get to the end of the road, and there's a rope bridge that goes across the river of lava onto the island, which is more like a mesa, right? It's tall and straight and flat on top. So the rope bridge is actually at an angle, right? So it could be dangerous. I didn't have anybody rolling anything, though. But I did apply the heat exposure mechanic from the RQG book. Over 40 degrees centigrade, make a 3 times constitution roll or you go unconscious kind of thing. I didn't really do the unconscious, but the incapacity is what I did. So they get to the top. Irvana missed her roll, so she actually fumbled her roll, so she is unconscious. Miriam missed her roll, so she's completely dehydrated and fatigued is the proper word to use, right? So she's completely fatigued. And so a restaurant moves her stuff around and then picks up Irvana, carries her fireman, carry like, and as they look around, because as they go up, the heat is rising up, so it's hard to see, right? Once they get up there, though, they start looking around, and they're on the mesa, right? But it's like they're in clouds. It's all dark and you can't see anything. But from the mesa, there are actually these three paths going off these three directions. And they turn around and the rope bridge is gone. So we've started my very first hero quest. We'll see how this goes. I've had this planned pretty much since the beginning of the campaign. On ending this with this hero quest. We'll see how things go. Happy gaming.